This is Ryan Elliott for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'd like to be joined by WBO Cruiserweight World Champion Lawrence Okolie tonight. Lawrence, it's been a while. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm good, thanks for asking, Lawrence. Now, I've seen you had a little holiday, been back in the gym for about a month or so. But like I said, it's been a while since we saw each other. You've been spending that time away, been back at it now. How's life as world champion been treating you? Nice to have a bit of downtime before you got back to it?
It's been pretty much the same, to be 100% honest with you. Like, nothing's really changed. We've only just started getting out of a lockdown and I'm back in training, so I haven't really got to experience much, if that makes sense. But it's good. Obviously, I'd rather be world champion than not. But yes, it's been standard.
There's one thing I've always noticed with you, Lawrence, is for 99% of fighters, being world champion is Mount Everest as far as they're concerned. Most don't ever reach that point, and a lot that do are happy with that world champion. But even before you become world champion, you always made no secret that that wouldn't perhaps be enough. You wanted to go and unify, and you wanted to go and achieve other things as well. After the elation of winning that world title, how soon did that switch go in your mind to, all right, what's next?
Oh, as soon as I left the ring, really, to be honest, obviously, straight away I was asking for the unifications. I didn't realise that, politics and stuff like that, what you have to do, defend against the mandatory, blah, 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 money and this and that. So it is what it is. Obviously, I'm, happy and blessed to be world champion. And obviously, when I sometimes stop and think back at running around the park when I first started boxing and going and throwing my first jab to actually be here is actually not insane, but it's just like we actually did it. So it is good. But as I said, like for me, it's not enough. I had pictures of David here on my wall with multiple belts. AJ, someone who I know well, he's got multiple belts chasing unification. So for me, I always believed I had the ability to be a world champion because I was a top amateur. So I always thought that, well, if I'm the best in the world at this age range and stuff, when I get a bit older and more experienced, I should be able to do it as a pro. The reality of that and, making it happen is a different thing, but I always believed I would. So yeah, I'm more interested in stuff that's a bit more like, oh, can I beat a Briedis? I think so. Can we prove it? Can I beat a McGuigan? Can I beat another world champ? Like, do you know what I mean? Can I beat someone who's got that championship status and I've got it and then be the one that comes out with both belts? We'll see.
No, we'll come on to the other champions that you just mentioned there. But first, you have got a fight announced. You'll be back out on the Joshua-Usyk bill in front of 60,000 fans. You're going to be taking care of your mandatory Dylan Prasovic. How long have you known that this was going to be the fight, that this would be your next opponent?
Well, for like at least a month or maybe a little bit longer. It's just like obviously making sure it's going to be that date and whatever else, or could be sneaking a unification and all of these talks going on behind the scenes. But I was meant to box maybe during behind closed doors again, whatever. But it just kept getting pushed. So I've just been in and out of training, but maintained good fitness. So now it's just about cracking down the last 4 weeks and putting on an impressive statement.
Lawrence, I can't sit here and claim to say I've seen much of Prasovic. Have you had a look at all, and what do you make of him as a fighter, if so?
He's good. He's good. He's like obviously undefeated, managed to get to this position, beat one or two undefeated fighters. But obviously, I think it's going to be different for him at this level, dealing with someone as athletic and clever as me in the ring. But he does pose threats where he leaps in with shots and isn't afraid to tangle up. And where I've had problems with holding in the past, it's an opportunity for me to show my development as well and not getting caught up in too many clinches and stuff like that. But he throws shots off of clinches and stuff like that. So it's an interesting style. He's a bit awkward, but ultimately he's 90. He's a cruiserweight, so he's gonna carry some sort of power. So I can't mess around and have to go in there and do what I'm meant to do.
We've seen you flourishing under Shane, and you've been on this run. I think it's actually, by the time you get in the ring, going to have been more than 3 years since you last went the distance with somebody. Are you confident you can end this fight early as well?
Yes.
Well, to move on then, you won a world title behind closed doors. You also fought behind closed doors before that as well. No fans there. Can you explain that feeling, what it'll be like to go back in front of the British fans, 60,000 of them no less, with a world title with you this time as well? It's been quite some time.
Yeah, like I'm excited. I've seen obviously like my socials, and obviously when I walk around getting stopped more, and like it's been amazing. So it'll be amazing to see the reaction. Obviously being one of the only British world champions right now. Obviously we've had a few more come in, the Sonny Edwards, the Lee Woods and stuff like that. So it's Kid Galahad. So it's good. It'll be good to feel the reaction there in Tottenham, which is a stone throw away from where I grew up. So yeah, I'm excited. Obviously I don't really, I soak it up, but I don't really, everyone's shut. And it's just going to be, to me, exciting. I'm more excited for the repeats, after and the sound, when you land the shot, boom, and then someone goes, and then you hear the crowd. That's the moment I'm looking for, Ooh, I'm doing with the right hand, you know what I'm going for. But yeah, it is what it is.
As I said to you, Lawrence, it will have been pretty much 3 years to the day since you last fought in a stadium in London. The Matty Askin fight was around the same time as that would be 3 years ago. Nah, just to quickly come back to how far you've come now since then, in that 3 years, what do you think are the main things you've improved on as a fighter in that time?
Composure on the big occasions, maintaining distance, and also if someone does break down the distance, what to do in that situation, with my movement or like my physical, lots of little stuff, it's not, I've always been quite athletic and quite a good thinker, but it's just the decision making is a little bit better. Why I'm stepping, where I'm stepping, and not unloading everything early, and just understanding that I'm fit enough to do the rounds, and loads of different things, loads and loads of different things.
Lawrence, you touched on the other world champions before, so all being well in September, and you've taken care of your mandatory, little two-parter here. Which champion do you want next, and which do you think is the most likely as well?
I want Briedis next, purely for the fact that I believe he's ranked number one. He's top 10 pound for pound in certain lists that I've seen recently. He's got the most accomplishments at the weight. And if I beat any other champion, there'll still be the question mark of, who's number one? Is it Lawrence? Is it? So I'd like to handle that one and become pound for pound like a top fighter, and also the number one in my weight class at the time. And then that also makes it easier to make the other fights. The one I think is most likely probably is McGuigan, because I haven't seen any rumors of him fighting anyone. So, but the other two champions, I think Egorov and Guillamarian are already scheduled to fight, and I'm hearing that Briedis is even moving up. We're going to fight a guy called Cizlak, who's number one or maybe mandatory. So it is what it is, we'll see.
Just a few things away from yourself before I let you get away, Lawrence. Obviously, top of that bill, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk, former undisputed champion in your division. What problems can Alexander Usyk pose for Anthony Joshua, and do you think size will ultimately be the key here as well for AJ?
Well, I don't think it'll just be size. It will be size, and because obviously there's a lot of big guys that Usyk would easily beat. So I don't think it's size. I think it's going to be application of size, and just generally good punching power and stuff like that. So I think Usyk will be a bit tentative coming into certain range. He'll be trying to nick a shot and move because he knows if AJ lands, it's going to hurt. So the problems that he can pose is the fact he's slick southpaw. I say slick. He's not really slick. He's more so really good at controlling the pace and the look of a fight. So he'll keep touching, feinting up and down, stepping off, in and out of range. He can mentally tire you out if you let him. And that's it really. So yeah, I think that those are some of the main problems that he can pose. He's been in there with heavyweights before as an amateur and a pro. He's really experienced. So he's got a lot of good attributes. I think he was a great fighter at cruiserweight. The only thing is at heavyweight, I think that, he has potentially slowed down a little bit. He's also not able to, dominate off the lead hand the way he was at cruiserweight, because he's fighting bigger guys who can just walk through it. And, every time a heavyweight's thrown a shot, he has to react to it. He can't just sit there slipping on the inside. As you saw against, Derek, he had to give up ground and pot shot and, rely on the fact he's got great feet. Same with the guy that he beat in America. So long story short, I do feel that AJ has the advantages of, reach, athleticism, both got really good boxing IQ. But Usyk has more stuff he has to overcome than AJ, in my opinion.
Someone I want to ask you about, Lawrence. Of course, your trainer Shane McGuigan and your gym mate Daniel Dubois out in Cleveland this week. Daniel's making his US debut out there. I know in the last few weeks you've been doing rounds with Daniel, and I know he's someone you sparred with even before you guys were gym mates too. From your early memories of sparring with Daniel to being around him in the gym with Shane and stuff like that, can you see the improvements he's making in the gym week on week?
Yeah, I mean, like week on week, it was quite interesting. Obviously, the initial thing, the first time we sparred, I was like, oh my, who is this guy? You know, because there's certain stuff I used to be able to do when I was sparring down, no matter how big a puncher he is and whatever else. Don't worry about it. I got this. After that, I was like, hold on, whoa, Lawrence. This is a serious candidate here. So, you know, it's forced me to up my game, you know, up my, you know, defense, because he's probably one of the biggest punchers I've been in the ring with. I've seen him flatten, no disrespect to the guys, you know what I mean? I've seen him flatten a good number of fighters. Yeah, I think he's going to be really good in the coming years. Not that he's not good now, but, you know, once he learns to, I don't want to say too much in this interview, but he's a good fighter, and he will continue to progress.
What is the mood like in that gym at the minute? It must be pretty upbeat knowing that between yourself and Chris Billum-Smith, you've got pretty much every belt there is to possibly have in cruiserweight nearly. Daniel Dubois got his US debut, as we've just said. It must be buzzing in there at the minute, knowing you've got all these guys achieving things so close to each other as well, weight-wise.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good, you know, it does boost morale to see everyone doing well. So it's more so you believe in what you're doing in the training when you see other people applying it and getting results. Obviously, for me, I believe in myself regardless of what everyone else is doing. And I'm sure everyone else has the same mindset. But it's a good energy in the gym. Yeah, that's it.
Just a couple more from me, Lawrence. There's, of course, another cruiserweight in action this weekend. Someone your potential future for Myris Briedis called out not long ago. The return of Jake Paul. He's back in the ring, 3-0 Jake Paul. I just wanted to get your quick opinion on that. He's fighting Tyrone Woodley. Some boxing figures are insulted by his venture into boxing. A lot of people aren't particularly bothered with it. What is your opinion on what we're seeing from Jake Paul and this run he's on?
I personally like it. You know, I think he's bringing something to boxing, which is eyes. He's semi-dedicating himself, and I don't know him or how hard he's training, but for me, it is bringing eyes to boxing, and ultimately, he's worked hard to get to the position he's in. No matter what anyone has to say, you know, he's created a fan base. He's had fights when he didn't have to fight, and now he's been rewarded for it. You know. There's a reason why he's got all those eyes on him. That's because he put the work in. It wasn't gifted to him. And that's it, really. You know, as long as you're going to dedicate yourself and have a proper fight and, you know, not take the piss, which I don't think he is. I think he's a novice. You know, that's why he's fighting the level he's fighting. No one complains that professional boxers for boxing, you know, journeymen on their way up. He's just happened to box. He's just boxing famous journeyman. That's it.
All right.
And his next fight is not a journeyman as well. He's a MMA boxer, but he was a world-class MMA fighter. So he's boxing a proper fighter at least. You know what I mean?
All right, Lawrence. Well, thank you very much for your time. I'm sure we'll catch you soon, and best of luck in camp, and we'll see you close at the fight as well.